Hello, everyone, and welcome to Beyond the Classroom, the podcast where we get to know the people behind the lessons. I'm your host, Addie Vaughn, and today I'm joined by Miss Arnold. Over the next few minutes, we'll be talking with Miss Arnold to learn a little bit more about who they are outside of school, what inspired them to become a teacher, and what life looks like beyond the classroom. Stick around as we go beyond the classroom and get to know the people who teach us every day. Today's guest is Miss Arnold. Thank you so much for being here today and taking time to join us.
Thanks for having me. I'm very excited.
Let's go in. To start things off, let's talk a little bit about you outside of teaching. So first kind of questions that's on my mind when I talk to teachers is what first inspired you to become a teacher and what made you choose this career path?
Well, I was a history major and a broadcast journalism major in college, and I knew history would be part of my life, but it wasn't my initial thing to start teaching. I went into sports television, TV production. I did that for a couple of years. I was in New York for September 11th. I kind of reevaluated what I was doing with my time, and I realized that I missed coaching, I missed kids, so I went back and got my degree in teaching, and then I moved to Virginia a couple years after that and started teaching.
Wow, that is so cool. Was the 9/11 event kind of what made you rethink everything?
It definitely made me realize my job, even though I thought it was going to be my dream job, I was putting commercials in TV shows.
Wow.
And it seemed cool, and the response that I got from everybody else kept me in the profession. But then once that event happened, it kind of put things into perspective. And I really don't care what people think about me, right?
Yeah, that's good.
Just because I had what everyone thought would be the best job, it didn't fulfill what I wanted anymore.
Wow.
So my parents always, taught me to be a big member of my community. And so how could I do that? I could teach and I could coach. So that was a big decision. I left New York City. I stayed in my profession in DC for a little while.
Yeah.
But then after that, I was it's time to change gears. And then I went to UVA, got my degree, and then I started teaching. So I think September 11th had a major impact on what I wanted to do with my life.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who experience those type of events, they have that kind of I feel like I've learned about this in AP Psych as well, where you almost sit down and you have that real world phenomenon where you're wow. Yeah, you said you did commercials beforehand?
So when I first graduated from college, I started working in TV production, and I worked on shows like The Sopranos. I worked on Saturday Night Live.
Wow.
I was a production assistant on those shows, so I did whatever they needed me to do. And then from that, I got a job in sports TV, and I started working for a company called IMG, and massive sports marketing, because I was a college athlete.
Yeah, I recognize that one.
I really, really wanted to get into sports TV, and so I made it. I made it to IMG, but it wasn't what I wanted after a little while. And especially in TV production, you have to be okay with having a very flexible schedule.
Yeah.
Call times at 5 a.m., you could work until 2 a.m. You can work on weekends, you could work at all hours, and I didn't care enough about it to completely change my whole life all the time.
Wow.
And my mom is a teacher, my sister was a teacher, my dad's a big history nerd.
Yeah, my dad is too.
So it just kind of fit in my vibe to go back and get my degree in teaching history.
Wow, that is so cool. You're living the entire broadcast journalism's real life dream in the future. Oh my gosh.
And I kind of lucked into the job. I was working I was a receptionist in New York City for some eyewear design company just until I was trying to figure things out. And my roommate was an aspiring actress. She worked in a bar. One of the guys that she met at the bar was working on Saturday Night Live. And she said, my friend Alice wants to get into TV production. Do you have a job for her? And then that one interaction that my friend Jamie had and then I started working on the SNL and then The Sopranos. The Sopranos I was on for almost an entire season.
Wow.
But I had no health insurance.
Yeah, man.
So I got super sick. It's like, oh man, health insurance is a good thing to have.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was awesome because I have great stories now to tell.
Yeah.
And the reactions I got from other people kept me there, but then I got to a point that I stopped caring what other people thought of me.
Like, well, that's a good thing.
I don't care. Like, okay, I'm going to do what makes me happy. And
wow.
I stopped feeding other people's interests and I started feeding my own.
Man, that's such like an amazing thing to just kind of like self-realize.
Yeah.
Like especially like with going from one path thinking you were like right for this and then kind of finding yourself. So you're much happier.
And like, it's one of those, if you've ever seen the movie Sliding Doors.
I think
Gwyneth Paltrow, she misses, it's like she's about to get on a train. Mm-hmm. Is it Sliding Doors? I can't remember the name of it. Anyway, Gwyneth Paltrow, she misses the train or she gets on the train. And so the movie chronicles her life, like when she does get on the train, what happens that day. And when she misses the train, what is her day? And so I kind of feel like, had I stayed in New York, had I stayed in that profession, what would have my trajectory have been?
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have met my husband or, I could have, my
so
kids.
Many things would have changed.
Right, exactly. So I don't regret my decision to leave sports television.
Yeah. Man.
I was okay with that decision. Yeah. I miss more New York City than anything else.
Yeah, I connect you on that level. I really want to live in New York.
Yeah,
I want to chase the actress part of the dream. That's why I do broadcast and everything. Yeah. But there's so many, I believe in like a theory called the red string theory, where like everybody's connected in some way and everybody's path is already written. Yeah. Like one of my favorite things to talk about is if like a city calls you, something is already there waiting for you.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why I'm really interested in New York and why I want to live in New York when I'm older, especially because opportunities and connections, like who knows that you might meet a producer at a bar.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's how I just kind of lucked into that job because of Jamie. And Jamie got me to be, I got to be an extra in like a couple movies because so like sometimes you just,
that's so cool.
You got to go to New York City. It's awesome. I wish I would have stayed a little bit longer.
Yeah.
You need to have a lot of money to live
there. You need to have
so in my dream, I would move back to New York, but I'd be like a millionaire and live on
then
the Upper West Side.
Then everything's a little like
exactly.
Upper East Egg, Upper West Egg from The Great Gatsby.
So when you become a superstar, actress, you can live life up there.
Live myself in a little Pentagon up there.
Yeah, and you'll just have to realize that as you're aspiring, you're going to have to work somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to work in a coffee shop or a restaurant where all the other actors will, but you'll find your community. Yeah. No, I'm excited for you. You should do it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Go to New York.
Yeah, I feel like one of my favorite things to talk about with teachers is connecting with them because especially with adults who have lived life and can give me experience that like connects to myself is always a big thing, especially for like your students. Like if you had to give one piece of advice to your students, what do you think you would give them?
Don't do things for other people, do them for yourself. I mean, obviously, like, help other people. Yeah. But, like, when you're making decisions about your own life, like, if it's not going to fulfill yourself and you're only doing it to appease others, you're going to not be happy. Yeah. But that's hard for younger kids to understand because your whole life, you're compared with your peers. You're competing with your peers. But you got to, at some point, just not care anymore, right? Yeah. Just not care. So I think one of the points is do what makes you happy. And who cares what other people think about it? So that's one of my advice. And especially as my students are getting ready to graduate and like at colleges, at some point no one will care what college you went to, right? Yeah. Like all the pressure is now. So because of that, go to the college you want to. Go to the college that your family can afford, right? Like,
that's
to do the things, like, again, in 10 years, no one will care, right? So do what makes you feel happy. Don't please other people because in the end, that will not drive where you need to be.
Yeah. And I know you said to bringing up that college aspect, where did you go to college before you went to UVA?
I went to Indiana University.
Okay.
So I graduated IU. Yeah, I double majored in history and broadcast journalism because I have TV. And I graduated IU at 99.
Okay.
And then I went to New York for a couple years and then got my degree from UVA for teaching in 2005.
Okay.
And started teaching middle school.
Oh, that must
in
be
Loudon,
fun. Yeah.
at Belmont Ridge, and I taught middle school for about 11 years.
Okay, wow.
Before moving to high school.
Yeah.
But yeah, I loved being a Hoosier. I will absolutely push any kid to go to Indiana.
I was looking
phenomenal.
to apply there.
They have a great theater program. They really do.
I know
they have their own opera house.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Oh my gosh, the music program at IU is amazing. There's people who want to like write music, compositions.
Yeah.
That's like one of the leading universities for composition writing. So definitely look into their theater, into their music program. Music is huge there. And IU is great. They get so much money from the state. If they don't use the funding, they won't get as much. So they use every little bit of money, and every year they just make the college better. But it's out of state, so
yeah, it adds a little
yeah,
much. But hopefully with scholarships
exactly.
and stuff that you can apply for.
And the campus is one of the prettiest campuses I've ever seen.
I've
it's
seen
beautiful.
pictures of it. It looks beautiful.
It's
all
awesome.
Seasons as well.
Yeah, yeah. However, the winter time in Indiana is very gray.
Yeah.
You don't see the sun for like 3 months. That's the one bummer. But whatever. There's lights now that you can buy to get like the vitamin D and whatever.
Oh yeah. I personally love LED lights and when it's like really snowy dark out, because that's what like me and my mom, we like when it's gray out, because that's when we cuddle up on the couch and we read a book.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been looking at that one. I feel like just like finding people who went to these colleges are also always a good thing. Like my family came from a very big musical background.
Okay.
I have a lot of people who've been on America's Got Talent and American Idol.
Super fun.
So I love talking about music and singing and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just like something that I like connecting to people with, and I'm glad that we're talking about this. I would have never guessed.
Oh yeah, IU's awesome. Yeah, definitely.
And then I know you said that you came to Loudoun County. What like led you to come to Loudoun County and specifically Stonebridge?
So when I was a sophomore in college, my parents moved from Long Island, New York, and they moved to Charlottesville, Virginia.
Okay.
And so when I graduated from IU, I came to Charlottesville for about 3 months, and I worked in a bar there. It was called the Greenskeeper, and now it's Raising Cane's. So,
are you serious?
Yes, the Raising Cane's on the corner at UVA used to be called the Greenskeeper. So that's where I had met my husband. I moved to New York, lived there for a couple of years.
I was basically asking about like.
Oh, how did I get to Loudoun?
Loudoun County.
Oh yeah. Okay. Long story short, yes. So. His family's from Reston. Mm-hmm. My family was now in Charlottesville. So when we were living in New York City for a couple of years, we decided that we wanted to come be closer to our families. And then when I was at UVA, a Loudoun representative came from the school board, from the hiring, the HR, and they interviewed a whole bunch of students at UVA. And I was basically hired on the spot for a teaching job in Loudoun. Wow. So we knew we were going to be in Northern Virginia. I just wasn't sure if it was going to be Loudoun or Fairfax. But Loudoun it seemed to be like the perfect spot for me to be.
Yeah.
And it didn't hurt that they offered me a job right away. So so that's kind of how I ended up in Loudoun. I was offered a job.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
20 years ago now.
Yeah, opportunities are like the biggest thing. I feel like people don't always realize like connections that you have to people are the biggest thing.
Yeah.
It's not always what you as a person alone can do, but like what your community can help guide you to and all of that.
Oh, for sure. That's the one thing why, I know AI will take over at some point, but AI can't deal with those social emotional skills, right? So like making those contacts, meeting people, right? That's hopefully keep the robot overlords away.
I agree. But yeah, that's kind of all the questions I have for you. But yeah, as we start to wrap up, I just wanted to say thank you again for sharing a little more about yourself.
Yeah.
I feel like you've been my most interesting and great person to connect with on the spot so far.
I've got lots of stories, so you want to interview me more?
I'll got more stories. I'll know where you are, yeah.
That's what my students say. I have these random good stories.
That's what Dalila was telling me. She was like, yeah, if you want to interview anybody, the person to talk to would be Miss Arnold. She just has so many advice and stories.
You know, you got to experience life because you need to be able to tell stories later on.
Yeah.
Right? So, you know, take those trips. You hit a red light, there's a reason why that light is red, right? And you get to slow you down in that moment, right? So sometimes the world is giving you messages, embrace them, you know, go with them. You know?
Man.
Yeah, lots of stories. And plus, I'm also glad I didn't become a teacher right away.
Yeah.
Because
it created those stories.
Yeah, I had different stories to share.
But well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So that concludes today's episode of Beyond the Classroom. Thank you so much, Miss Arnold, for taking the time to share your story and give us a look into life beyond teaching. And thank you to everyone listening to Beyond the Classroom, where we get to know the people behind the lessons. Be sure to tune in next time as we sit down with another teacher to learn more about their class, their interests, and their life outside of school. I'm your host, Addie Vaughn, and we'll see you next time. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow the SBHS podcast and share it with a friend. Thanks so much, Ms. Arnold.
Thank you. You did great.